So what does an exceptional career actually look like? So I'm a business professor. I look and study at this kind of stuff a lot. I study at what leads to success. That's the only thing that we're really fascinated in business schools. And I'm going to tell you, it's a bunch of myths. I want you, instead of thinking about an exceptional careers and thinking about where you can go and all of the wonderful things that you can possibly do, I want you to change the conversation, and I want you to be able to look at the mirror every morning and say, I love this guy, or I love this girl. And I think if you focus on that instead, where you're thinking about you as beyond and bigger than who you are in one particular moment or one particular section of your life, you'll have a much more fulfilling life where you're looking at the world and you're thinking, this career is only part of who I am. I'm going to tell you something. Careers last they're so small. They don't last that long. And at some point, you reach a moment where you say, is that it? And if you simply just change the question in the way that you view the world, and you say, do I love this person in front of me? And that's a harder question for most of us because it requires a lot of other things that we have to look at and a lot of trade-offs that we often have to make. And at least for me, I struggle with a lot of these questions. I think about this a lot. And what does it mean to be successful in a particular area? What does it mean to be recognized? What does it mean to have a good family? I think all of those questions, any of them are great, right? If you're asking those questions, you're better than what most people actually do, because most people actually don't even think about those things. But instead of thinking about greatness or how you can actually, climb to a certain level, I want you to think about, how can I be... Now, hold on for a sec. How can I be mediocre? How can I do everything so that all of me can actually look at the mirror and say, I love who this person is? And so that requires that you have a lot of competing demands. Every one of those things are going to be competing, and every moment you're going to say, I can't do this because I've got this other thing. And so some of it is feeling and really becoming mediocre, right? In decision sciences, we call this satisficing. But it's this idea of, and Herbert Simon thought of this idea, it wasn't me, but it's this idea where you look at the world and you say, we've got all these competing demands, and I don't have all of the information at my fingertips. I haven't got a clue about what I should do, and I'm supposed to act in this certain way, right? I've got this supposed to thing going on, the shoulding thing going on, where I'm supposed to do all of these actions and look all proper. But instead, why don't you take a step back and say, I'm going to be relatively mediocre in all of these areas, but I'm going to smile as much as I possibly can through all of these areas along the way. And so that means when I come up with a problem, whether it's in your home life, something is not working that well, I'm going to stop and I'm going to think, I'm going to try to solve this particular thing. And it means I'm going to be extra mediocre in my career life at this moment because it's super important to me. If it's something in your career that's falling apart, you have to make that hard decision and say, am I going to invest the time and effort to make this thing work? But when I do that, it's not upsetting. It's where I smile through it. And I try to think about this as, if I was a loving person, and if I wanted to call myself somebody that I'm proud of when I'm 80, 90 years old, that I tried to do all of the things that I thought was right, and sometimes it's difficult to do those things, that I tried to smile through all of those, and I tried to look for the greater good, despite the fact that it might not exist. There might not ever be an answer. A remarkable career is not always what you think it is. And I want you to take a step back and say, a remarkable career is me looking in the mirror every day and loving who I am and saying that this person, even if I'm staying at home and I'm watching my kids for years and I'm the main person to watch the kids, that's a wonderful, amazing thing that I have and a responsibility that I have, that I'm in charge of making sure somebody grows up where they feel like they have a mom or dad that loves them. And this requires you to take a step back from all of the things that people are going to judge you for. If you work too much, people are going to judge you because you work too much. If you take a step back and spend time with your kids, they're going to judge you because you're always at home. If you anything that you do is never going to be right in somebody else's eyes. And so you have to be that person where you look at the mirror and you say, I love that person. I love what they're trying to do. And it's super important what they're trying to do. I hope you try that today. See what happens. See if you can get out of bed. See if you can simply just say, I love this person that I'm looking at. It's an incredibly important skill that we all have to work on, including myself. Take care and have a wonderful day.